Now let's discuss skeletal system or supporting systems in animals. The skeleton is a structure that supports and holds the living organism or an animal, as we are discussing, in shape and enables it to move. Now, what are the biological significance of skeleton? Why do animals have skeleton? The first one is for support. Without a skeleton, a human being or any animal will collapse and die. Another reason is for movement. The skeleton enables animals to move from place to place, because as we said, animals move from place to place. Another thing skeleton does is that it protects the fragile parts of the animal. For instance, in mammals, the skull protects the brain, which is fragile and highly sensitive. Also, the ribs protect our hearts and lungs. Without this, all our organs are at risk. So these are the significance of skeleton in an animal. Now we're talking about skeletal materials, the materials that make up the skeleton. And there are three major materials that make up skeleton in animals. That's the bone, the cartilage, and the chitin, or what is known as cortical. Now, the bone and the cartilage are found in higher animals, or what are known as vertebrates, while cortical is found in lower animals, especially the insects and other lower animals as we go down the list. The bone is majorly the hard part of the skeleton in higher animals, while the cartilage is a softer part that helps to cushion the friction in the bone. And we'll get back to that as we continue the lesson. Now, there are three types of skeleton: the exoskeleton, the endoskeleton, and the hydrostatic skeleton. The exoskeleton is more like an armor that covers the animals that have them, and they are majorly low animals like the arthropods, that's the insects, the crustaceans like our scorpion, the centipede, and so on. This exoskeleton is made of that material which we know as chitin or cortical, which is a proteinous material, a mucilaginous material that covers this animal. It enables it to move, and it also protects the inside of the animal. These animals have soft insides and just this thick covering on the outside, which we know as the exoskeleton. Secondly, we have the endoskeleton. Now, endoskeleton is the skeleton within the animal. For instance, the skeletal system of mammal and all vertebrates is endoskeleton. You can't physically see any covering, but you know that there is a support system within those animals, which is known as the endoskeleton. Now, this endoskeleton consists of the vertebral column or the bones, and then the cartilage. Thirdly, we have the hydrostatic skeleton. Hydrostatic skeleton is basically skeleton made of water or liquid. This is the kind of skeleton we find in the annelids, like our earthworm or tapeworm, all our roundworms. What happens in hydrostatic skeleton is that these are liquid that are kept under high pressure. Now, this high pressure prevents injury to the inner tissues within the animal. Anyway, you should know that since it's a liquid medium, it can be as protective as either the endoskeleton or the exoskeleton. Now we'll be going to the bones of the vertebral column. I want you to first of all note that animals that can have a vertebral column are known as vertebrates, or they fall under the subphylum Vertebrata. The invertebrates have the skull, the vertebral column, and the appendicular bones. And this vertebral column is very, very important to the survival and the support of large animals because it contains the spinal cord within it, and this spinal cord transmits information that is needed for the movement of the body. In other words, an animal without that has a spinal cord that is not protected by the vertebral column is most likely to be paralyzed. And that is the importance of the vertebral column. Now, this vertebral column is divided into regions. The first region is known as the cervical column or cervical vertebra, and that is the region within the neck, that is the neck region. Then we have what is known as the thoracic vertebra or the thoracic column. That is the one within the chest region that protects the lungs, the heart, and so on. Then we have the lumbar vertebra. That is the vertebra of the higher abdomen. Then we have the sacral vertebra, the vertebra of the lower abdomen, and finally we have the caudal vertebra or the vertebra of the tail region. Now this divides the vertebral column into different regions. They have their different features and they also have their different number of bones between them. Like I said earlier, the spinal cord is continuous and passes from the cervical column down to the lumbar vertebra or the sacral vertebra. Next, we'll talk about the appendicular skeleton. Now, appendicular skeleton talks about the appendages or the arms and legs, the forelimbs and the hind limbs.